Ready? Okay, at this time, I call the Board of Trustees meeting on February 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. I call the meeting to order. Can we stand for the pledge? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First off, I want to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. Okay. Miss Charity, can you call roll call, please?
Trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Here.
trustee Music.
Yes.
Ready? Okay, at this time, I do the consent to agenda to accept the minutes of January 10th, the organization meeting, January 10th, regular board of trustee meeting, January 27th, special meeting, approval of bills and approval of blanket certificates.
Second.
Trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Music.
Yes.
Okay, and this time we'll have the fiscal officer report, please.
Right now I'm waiting on the Hinkle notes to be completed by Charles E. Harris and Associates to close out the year end in the UAN. All documents have been submitted as of February 6th. I've met with Mike Bestmaker, who's the Vice President of Government and Banking, and Brandis Carr, who is the Treasury Management Advisor with Huntington National Bank. They just wanted to kind of present to me some options that they have that are available because they have a special government section of their banking system. So they're going to get me some additional information to share with the trustees at a later date. I'm ready to reconcile the January finances in the UAN, but I have to complete the year end, which is right now on hold until I get the Hinkle notes from Charles E. Harris and Associates. I'm still waiting on the 2023 certificate of estimated resources. Information was sent to the county on January 10th. I attended the OTA conference in Columbus. While at the conference, I made acquaintances with Ms. Hicks with the Auditor of State's office. She has provided me with additional contact information for the IRS. I have reached out to that contact and requested assistance with trying to correct the errors of the previous 941 filings. That's the one where we had made deposits into Social Security instead of OPERS. So I'm hoping they can get back with me and we can work on trying to recoup at least some of that money that went to Social Security. But I have been informed typically Social Security only goes back 2 years. So that'll kind of restrict how much of it we're able possibly to get back. While at conference, I earned 6.5 hours of the Fiscal Integrity Act credits, which brings me to 31.75 hours since October of 2021. Those consisted of Ohio ethics law, Ohio budgetary law, how to prepare for audit, where the trustee responsibility ends and the fiscal officer begins, and the UAN update. I've worked on contacting vendors and contractors to obtain W-9s. The 2022 tax documents have been completed. That includes the W-2s, the 1099s. They've been filed and provided to the employees, contractors, and vendors. The Ohio IT 941 annual reconciliation is completed. The Ohio School District 141 annual reconciliation is completed. The Ohio Job and Family Services for fourth quarter 2022 has been completed. The municipality withholding annual reconciliations have been completed. And I am scheduled for the virtual training for the certified public records training on February 16th.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hey, Road and Cemetery, Mr. Hoops.
For our cemetery, we had 3 full burials, 1 at each cemetery, Fairmont, Eversole, and Pleasant Hill. We had sold 2 plots, 1 at Fairmont and 1 at Eversole. Our spring foundation orders, they're starting to trickle in. The start date for that or the end date to receiving them is March 15th. I didn't put that on my list, but it is on our website. A reminder that our spring cleanup is March 1st. Just ask the public to please remove anything that you want to keep. This spring cleanup will be a complete clean off of everything. We've been working on our cemetery books and our records. On our roads, we've been on a few snow events this past month. The most recent snow event, snow was very heavy, which leads me into our policy on our mailboxes. That's got a copy of that. We hit the mailbox with the plow. We will fix those in all the time. If we hit it with snow coming off the plow, that's on the homeowner. We'll try to get it upright in a timely fashion. But people don't understand the difference between a light snow and a heavy snow. Heavy snow just and stuff on mailboxes. So I don't know if can I get a motion to accept this policy that I wrote up? I already sent it to you guys for you to look over.
Yes, I make that motion to pass reporting mailbox and lawn damage from snow removal.
Seconded.
Trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes,
trustee Music.
Yes.
We're working on getting prices and quotes for chip seal, crack seal, and striping the lines to clear the parking lot. Haven't got any prices back yet, but still working on getting that together. We've been cutting and chipping vegetation from our roadways. We've had several meetings with local jurisdictions. We've been like the Chinese spy balloon, gathering all the best information. Our equipment, all the trucks ran great for the last few events. I sent emails to all of you about our 3 quotes we got for our mowers. All 3 are the same Grasshopper 725D. I feel this is the best for our situation. This mower would replace our old John Deere that we've been sinking money into every year. Steinke and Eaton is our best price at $16,625.
You happen to have the numbers on hand of how much money we've sunk into it just in like the last 2 years?
Not currently.
Just.
I know last year we put like $700 into it and seals for our injectors.
Gotcha.
That was just last year, for oil changes and all that stuff, but previous to me, I don't really have that record.
You know how old that mower is?
It's an 03.
It's an 03, so it's 20 years old.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was looking for, is something that kind of shows how old it is, what state of repair it's in and whatnot, so.
will you be getting any traded in on that, or are you gonna keep that, or what are you thinking about doing?
Plan on just keeping it
Okay.
to beat on situations in the road ditch that we could mow with.
Okay.
And if this, I feel like if you guys don't know the hill on
Peter?
Heater, it's pretty steep. But the 4-wheel drive really doesn't make it up that hill as well. So we end up having to weed eat it. So
Okay.
when it's really, really dry out, it will make it up most of the hill, but it's still unsafe for somebody. If you don't have 2 people there, it's really not something we should be doing. So
Right.
I'll probably keep it for a little while just to
Just cause.
beat on, yeah.
And Miss Girl, does he have enough to cover that?
Got enough in there, yeah.
Okay.
May not be able to do it till we get the permanent appropriations, but we don't have anything left right now without, because we have some that bring back in.
Trucks, right?
We've appropriated for the trucks.
And so that's still gonna stay with the trucks for potentially next year?
It's just labeled now for equipment.
Okay,
I don't know if we can pay for that now out of the ARPA fund. I don't know if it's legally allowed to do that, but and then,
well, I know we saved a ton of money on the truck,
right.
and so we had allocated a,
Well, I know he was wanting to look at getting possibly another one this year.
Yeah, well, so we'll get another one from the state. It will not be until later in the year once they get all their new trucks. But we're also looking at 1-ton prices.
Okay.
Which is like $70,000 just for cab and chassis. Try to save every ounce that we can to get towards that.
And how long will it take you to get this mower? Is it in stock?
They're in stock, yeah.
Okay,
725 is in stock.
okay. Well, I make a motion that we go ahead for Steinke and Eaton for the Grasshopper. Is it the Grasshopper?
Yep.
725D at $16,625.
second that motion.
Trustee Music,
Yes,
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes.
One more discussion is replacement of our propane heater in the garage. We had the cold snap right there before Christmas and we could not get it to shut off. It just ran nonstop. It's also an insulation problem. But Upon further investigation, all the manifolds are broke on the inside of it, and we are pumping CO2 out into the building. So we need to replace that. Also have 3 competitive quotes. Have the time to look at that. I'm gonna send them out. If you had a chance to look at them, prices, ideas, it's a Modine unit, the 2 that are on price. Personally don't know enough about them to make an argument about it. And the 2 guys that I got it from, I believe that they're giving us a good quality product, so.
That's what we have at my other job. Mhm, that's what we just installed
Who is that?
with the other company I work at. That's what we just installed in our plant there.
You don't have a preference?
Well, it's the same unit.
Same unit.
So I think the important thing here is that it's leaking into the building. So I feel like these prices are close together. What's the time frame on getting them both?
I called them today, both checked, they're within a day, they have it in stock, so they could get it.
They could both get it. And installations about the same time frame?
The only difference, the one company I contacted, they're local. So Steve Bracklin, he's local, but he put our mini split in, so I've dealt with them before. I don't really have a preference, so they're both good people, so it's really the $300 difference between the quotes.
And same warranty and everything, nice. Okay. What do you all think?
I don't really have a preference. I mean, if we've already done business with one of them and we're happy with their business, I see no reason to deviate from that. If we have a good working relationship with them and they've done good by the township.
You okay with that?
Yep, I'm good with it, yeah.
That's the Steve Brackley.
Now, do we need a motion since it's under 5,000? He can just go ahead and do that, correct?
I would just do a motion just to make sure we have it.
So I make a motion that we replace the existing heater with that's in the maintenance building. And he is true, I've been there and it just keeps running and running and running and running. So, and we'll use Steve Brockman Heating and Air or Heating and Cooling LLC. And then you'll just give us the invoice after that's over.
I second that motion.
Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Police Department,
I ask the board to entertain a motion to accept the resignation from Officer Stephen Viscardi with an effective date of 31st of this year.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears.
yes.
Our Easter egg hunt will be Saturday, April the 8th at noon at Sycamore State Park. There on Providence where we have it at every year. Working on getting our letters for donations, getting those mailed out. If you would like to make any donations yourself, you're more than welcome to drop those donations off here at the building. They could be anywhere from candy to prizes to plastic eggs. Each year, it seems like we've increased the number of eggs that we stuff, so. I think last year was somewhere around the neighborhood of 15,000, and that was still like 4,000 or 5,000 that we didn't open. Just because we ran out of candy, so. There's a lot of eggs to be stuffed. Our first ever Chiefs Roundtable meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, March 22nd at 5 p.m. That'll be here at the building. It's an opportunity that I'm setting aside an evening of my time to come out, sit down to any of the residents that want to come in and sit down and talk with me. We can have a group discussion at that time. If you don't want to do a group discussion, we can set up an appointment so you can come in and talk with me one-on-one regarding your concerns, stuff that you would like to see, just getting your perspective and your point of view of the police department.
Where's the roundtable gonna be? Is that here or is that, I didn't hear where you said it was.
We hold it right here in
Okay.
this room, sir. Officer Wynn and K9 Odie just successfully completed their training and state certification. So they'll start patrolling the township and responding to calls whenever we get the MOU worked out.
We'll be discussing that later tonight.
Okay. So they're ready to go. Working on the end of the year stats, so be patient with me. I had somebody else jump in and help me with our, getting our statistics together. So it is taking just a little bit longer to get those posted. But I am working on last year's stats, to get them up to the website, and we're still working on change to get those up on the website as well. And then I asked the board to entertain a motion to go into an executive session for the consideration of employment of a public employee in accordance to 121.22 G1 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Okay, and is there any way that we can do this at the end of the meeting since we have all this other stuff to do?
Yes, ma'am, that's
Okay.
what the board
Okay.
wishes.
No problem. Okay. So we'll do that at the very end. Okay, zoning.
Okay, since our last or since the last billing for the trash bills, we've received 1,017 payments. And I'd sent out 1,294 bills, so the payments are coming in, which is good. There's 5 pending permits. I'm working on scheduling a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing, and it's going to be scheduled for Thursday, March 16th at 7 p.m. for placement of a pool barn. I and Trustee Mears met with Land Banks and Coolidge Law Firm, and we're working with them. We're putting together legal documents that are needed to be able to demo properties that are here in Perry Township that need to be taken down. And I will be hopefully soon scheduling a zoning commission's board meeting so that we can start working on updating our zoning text. And that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a question. On the house in Paramount that's scheduled to come down, we discussed, we have to pass a resolution for that. Have we got that?
We're postponing that until March. We want to make sure that we have all these documents together. So that way, then, once that motion's passed or that resolution is done, then they can get a hold of the demo people.
Okay. Okay, then on to trustee reports. So let's see, my report is attended the OTA conference in Columbus. This cost our residents nothing as each one of us paid for our rooms, meals, and registration. Met with Soil and Water regarding the ditch work on Amity Road for the watershed program. I started working on this project, but it has now been handed over to trustee Music. And also I know Caleb and Mr. Steck, I'm sorry, Mr. Hoops and Mr. Steck met with them, correct?
Karen.
And Karen, yes. And then Karen and I met with the land bank and their attorneys about the abandoned properties in the township. Again, this will be handed over to trustee Music. Met with Mr. Hoops, Mr. Deck regarding the road and cemetery department. Also, congratulations on a great presentation to Brookville Elementary School on what a township road department does. I heard about you all the other night. Mr. Hoops and Mr. Steck went up and they did a presentation up at elementary school and showed what the township does.
Very basic of what we do,
Yes.
but the kids loved it, so that was.
And Mr. Hoops' son was kind of upset because he didn't tell them how they bury people. So, yeah. I have. Mr. Music.
All right, attended OTA conference. I did meet with Karen over zoning potential new members that we want to try and bring up tonight. Hopefully a new business. Met with Soil and Water, and I'm gonna ask Caleb to help me out with this. But I guess the proposal is from Soil and Water to this board of the township to enter into an agreement with Soil and Water that will help us establish zoning text for our zoning book. Taylor has sent all kind of a list of all the permits that
2022.
2022's permits from last year. And they're going to work on a proposal for us. They have not received that back yet?
I have not received it yet.
So our zoning text is lacking a lot of things. And so soil and water, dealing with soil and water issues want to help us. They said they've been reaching out for a long time, and I think it's time for this board to really dive into that. So am I missing anything? It's kind of vague at this point because we don't really know what the proposal from soil and water will be.
Right. But they're really what it is, it's also some backing from USDA, but the federal level is stating, and we'll have that backing as well through them, but we just don't have a price on that, what they're proposing exactly. That was just an open discussion, kind of laying the groundwork, kind of ideas, thoughts behind it. So.
And also, when I first started this, I didn't think it was through soil and water. I thought it was through this watershed. They were the ones who were asking us, right, about putting in ditch work, and they contacted soil and water, and that's how soil and water got involved.
Right.
Right, but then it became
Yes,
we have zero policy on
Right.
that.
right.
And they deal with Clayton or Clay Township,
Okay,
Jackson Township, Madison. I mean, they deal with a lot of people.
okay,
They have a lot of knowledge.
okay.
And they also mentioned in this, when we met with them about getting together with the trustees and the community and kind of like an education type, on how all this works, because when they contacted me and wanted me to give them a permit for a drainage and I'm thinking, I don't do that, but that's part of what, the stuff that we're missing. So, and with their help, they'll,
And then it'll dovetail into the zoning commission to finalize the zoning text.
right.
Yeah, because there's 3, Amity, Diamond Mill, and Wolf Creek, where they want to put driveways in.
Mhm.
And I know those other 2 are county roads, but still, it
Right.
all kind of goes together.
Once we get that proposal, they've said they would
I'll let you know.
and present it to the board.
Okay,
Because obviously I think they can do a better job than I can
Right.
with that. And then if we do decide to go that route, they will also come in, like Karen said, set up boards to discuss and explain the ins and outs of soil and water and what that encompasses.
Okay.
So that's all I've got for right now.
okay. Thank you, trustee Hartson.
Thank you. So I've continued to administer and update the township social media, working with our subcontractor on the website, as well as performing general IT management, maintenance, and upkeep of the township systems. I perform my weekly driving inspections of the township roads, cemeteries, and nuisance properties. I continued planning and research on the MOU for the township's canine program and handler, which we'll be discussing later tonight. Sent a draft of that copy to the prosecutor's office for review on the 10th, and they responded this afternoon. I'm working with the department on a number of issues. I attended the OTA conference in Columbus as well, and continued to review the township audit information. I have a meeting coming up with the county treasurer as a follow-up on his meeting where he came in. I guess he's meeting with each of the trustees, I would assume, I would hope. But he set up a meeting with me on the 17th. The last thing I wanted to discuss is I did notice while driving around the township that it looks like the wetlands project at Diamond Mill and Wolf Creek Pike, they've brought in some rock, they've built a rough parking lot area and brought in some heavy machinery. So that is starting. I don't know how robustly it's starting, because that's basically been a Corps of Engineers project that we weren't looped in on, but just wanted people to know that that looked like it is starting sometime in the very near future based on how much equipment they've brought in. So
And that's also on Amity, because there's a lot of equipment on Amity too.
do they have it over there as well? Okay.
They're from Kentucky. Those guys are, they are trying to, in a week, they're trying to get 1,000 feet. So they explained it to me that it was old waterways that they're recreating, putting dams in with logs and brush. So they're going to create wetlands there.
Yeah.
So then I talked to them about clearing all the trees along Amity, that they could use all of that.
Yeah.
That's always been farmland.
Jason, can I ask you, can you explain what that is and why they're doing it?
So we were told about a year and a half ago that basically the Army Corps of Engineers sent out letters to everybody that lived in the surrounding area saying the state has decided to take part of Sycamore Park, turn it into a wetlands habitat with some walking trails, some observation points and stuff like that. Initially, residents had concerns based on the lighting that was going to be placed there for safety and security reasons. Obviously, big sodium lights aren't popular with people who have windows facing it. So a number of residents reached out to the Corps of Engineers. They took the time to talk with residents, list the concerns and include that in their overall process. They did say that the parking lot didn't necessarily have to be there where they were talking about it on Amity and Diamond Mill. And they were open to moving it if the constraints allowed for it. So I don't think what they're doing now is where the parking lot's gonna be. I think that's just where they're working from. So I think I saw the contact info for the Corps of Engineers. But it's a state project. So the Corps of Engineers was going in to design it, figure it out, and then the state was gonna contract it out to execute.
I've driven by there and I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some Tonka toys out there. Yes, most definitely. So I can look into that and see what the current status of that is so that residents understand where that's at.
We weren't even aware of it ourselves until a couple of residents contacted us and said, hey, we got this letter in our mailbox. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Mears, I do have one more thing.
Okay,
I'll have to get it. I forgot to bring out the resolution that you guys will need to pass for the resurfacing and widening project of Providence Pike. I sent it out to the trustees. I forgot to print it and bring it out with
can we
me.
do that in new business?
I can do that if you want me to. I can do that when you guys do your executive session.
Okay, any old business?
You want to bring up zoning and old business? I mean, I guess it pertains.
I'm not. Go ahead.
So currently, we have. Sorry. We have two people remaining on our Board of Zoning Commissions. That their term will not be up. One is 2023 and the other is 2024. Help me out.
You need that list.
Oh, I've got it here.
It's
Miss Hall and
Doug Crow
Doug Crow,
and Linda Hall.
Linda Hall. So I've reached out to both of them. Neither one of them. Miss Hall's phone number was not good. Mr. Crow did not respond back. So the goal was to see if they were still interested in being on zoning
Board of Commission.
commissions. They haven't met in a while. Not even sure if Miss Hall even lives in Perry Township anymore. So we have at the time 4 applications.
Mhm.
Mr. Warner, Ms. Simon,
Jeffrey Keys.
Jeffrey Keith, and Manfred Schreier.
Mhm.
And so have you given the applications for them to review?
Yeah, I put them all in their drawers.
Okay, so at this point, we've only got, I mean, Ms. Simon is going to go over and head that board of zoning commissions from the BZA board. So we only have 3 openings. And we have 4 applications. Until we know that Ms. Hall want to step down.
So, if I may.
Yeah.
When we had the zoning board of commissions meet, there was no interest to updating the zoning text by anyone that was in attendance, correct?
Right.
So that said, we can actually just end their terms for the sake of the township, because we're trying to get the zoning text updated. We're trying to get the work done. If there's no interest in doing it and we can't contact them, my understanding is that the trustees can basically end their term and we can basically open it up to a functional zoning board of commissioners.
And that's true. We can, as long as they have not met the requirements. There are requirements to let them go. And so not wanting to take action at that time for me is not enough to remove them at this point. But I would like to give them the option to either step down or If they come to a meeting and don't want to participate, then I think the board can address that. So we have room for an alternate. So if we vote these 4 people in,
But we also need somebody to take Sherry's spot.
well, this is board commission at the moment. So we approve those 4. We assign one of them as a alternate, and we would have a full board with the people who still have remaining terms. If one of those people gets with me, or I've asked Karen to mail them letters to make sure they are still interested. If they're not at the next meeting, then we can move that alternate to a full-time position. That's my request for the board to move forward on it. We obviously, we want to move quickly on this because we need to get things going,
We need to get our board.
but I don't want to remove someone from the board.
So let's put a time cap on it. Give it 30 days. If we don't hear from them and we don't see from them, send a registered letter to their residents. I think that's what we said.
Yeah.
So if there's no response, perfect. By the day before our next Board of Trustees meeting, then at the next Board of Trustees meeting, they'll be dismissed and we will make it necessary.
Okay, so we want to wait to that meeting to go ahead and vote on the candidates or the applications that we have? Or do we want to do it tonight?
But tonight, I'm open to tonight. If it's that pressing, I mean, we can definitely do it tonight.
That way they're on there, so we know.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I mean, Boyd, you're the only one here. Do we do,
Yes.
well, Jerry is, but as far as an alternate, do we want to just appoint someone as an alternate?
Do you have no other interest? There was no other person?
There was one other, but she hasn't got back with me yet, and I've reached out to her twice, so it doesn't look promising.
And I think that with the board, there has to be Barry, help me out. There has to be a certain amount of the board members in order to move forward, right?
You have to have a quorum.
A quorum, that's the word I was looking for.
So we would have a quorum
If we
if
voted,
you don't show up to the meeting, but we're gonna give them 30 days to respond anyway. So at the next meeting, we should have a full board.
Three's
So we'll be short one.
no, three's
Three's enough.
yeah.
So we can move forward with zoning commission board.
Can we ask Sherry her thoughts? Sherry, what are your thoughts?
So you're saying you have 3 besides me
Correct,
that will come on
correct.
and 2 that are
Have current terms still.
current terms. To me, you could approve, there's no, to my knowledge, unless it's changed, there's no rule that you can only have so many. I don't think.
There is a 5.
It says 5, but it doesn't mention how many alternates you can have.
I don't believe it did.
Yeah, because I would almost think you could go ahead and approve anyone who wants, that's already expressed an interest and is willing to serve, then if the other 2 suddenly decide that they want to, be a part of it, then you could, even like I did on the BZA, I was alternate for a while before I came back up on active. So I mean, I think that could be worked out as well, especially the 2 that are probably not going to respond to you.
I just want to do my due diligence there before we
Yeah,
just remove somebody.
so you could just determine who's going to be the alternate.
If we could determine that at the next meeting. Okay, so I guess at this point, I'll make a motion that we approve the 4 applications that we have. Ms. Simon, Mr. Warner, Mr. Shire, and Mr. Keith.
I second that.
Trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Music,
Yes,
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes. We also need a motion to name Miss Simon as the chair. Because we basically said they're on the board, but we need to, I don't know, I'm asking.
I believe so.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have Miss Jerry Simon, sorry, operate as the chair of the Board of Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Yes,
trustee Mears.
Yes,
And then so we still need we now need a member for the BZA board.
Right.
So if there are any residents who are interested in that, reach out to me or Ms. Kaler. And we can get you the application. It is on the website. Under, if you, top of the page, it says Perry Township is hiring. Click on that link and the applications are there.
Or you can always stop in and I'll be happy to give you the document.
Can you
Answer any questions that I can.
What?
the board does?
So the Board of Zoning Commissions sets the established zoning rules for the township. As a whole, puts it in our policy. And then the BZA board enforces those,
The zone.
uses that zoning text as a rule to guide their decisions.
so the commission makes, they talk about fencing, they talk about whatever, they have to send it, we have to send it downtown Dayton, they have to approve it, then it comes back to us. It's just not something that we can approve, it has to go through,
Yeah, channels.
yes,
Figured if somebody was watching that may be interested,
yes.
now they know what it is.
No, they will have meetings, they'll talk about, what do you think about this, that goes downtown, comes back to us.
And so the Board of Commissions, my suspicion is they will have a couple, probably one a month, maybe until we get something established, and then more likely at quarterly meetings after that. Because there is some work to do to get us to where we need to be.
They'll look at our zoning book and then, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, any other old business? Okay, new business.
I'd like to talk about the MOU for the K-9 program. This has been rewritten to reflect the fact that the township owns the K-9, the officer does not. It's also been streamlined a bit. Focus on what happens if the program is gotten rid of, or the agreement is dissolved in any way, what that means to Officer Nguyen and his repayment of the total training cost. It's based on a percentage for the number of years that he's been in that position. That's outlined in number 4. Speaks to if either the K-9 or the handler is injured in the line of duty. What that means for Officer Nguyen's repayment of the training money. It states that the township will carry retirement insurance on the K-9, just like we do for the officer. It also states that Officer Nguyen is receiving an hourly increase of $1.25 in lieu of a stipend to take care of incidentals, cost of food, and other materials required to take care of the K-9. Expectations of certifications required to be maintained for both the K-9 and the handler. The township will pay for all veterinary bills as the township owns the K-9. Else in here is of note. Okay, I'll just let the other trustees read this. I will say that on number 17, there is an ORC 9.62 that governs how a K-9 or a horse, because some police departments use horses, can be dispositioned after the K-9 is no longer of use to the township. And it basically states that the K-9 can be offered to Officer Nguyen at the price of $1 at that time. So this has gone through the prosecutor's office. It made one recommendation, which I did include, which was on number 17. And that was just reducing it to the Board of Trustees if the Board of Trustees decide to eliminate the program, the chief wouldn't have a role in deciding that.
Right.
So we struck out the police chief in that section. But other than that, this has been fully vetted. And I'll open the floor for discussions from the other trustees and the fiscal officer.
Question about the use of the word MOU. The MOU tends to be used for simple common cause agreements which are not legally binding. And so the top of this page says memorandum of understanding agreement. But a memorandum of understanding and a memorandum of agreement are two separate things. So
This is what it's been called for years. I have no problem with changing it to a contract because
Yeah, and
the text is legally binding. I just use the template of what was previously defined. So that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, yeah, I would like for it to be a contract. Because if we're gonna, if the incident comes where, Officer Wynn decides to leave and we're gonna force him to pay us back. An MOU, which is stated a bunch in here, does not have any legal commitment. So I believe that, obviously Officer Wynn would want to get an attorney to fight that. And I believe we could potentially be at risk to lose any repayment based off the wording there of MOU versus MOA.
That's
So-
fine. I mean, we can call it whatever we need to call it. The prosecutor's office had no problem with the naming, but I'm not
They might not,
locked into it. So
another judge may or another attorney. So I just want to make sure we've got the wording correct in that we're to where it is going to be legally binding.
mhm.
So that's my only thing. I'd like to have that fixed before we and just maybe get clarification from the prosecutor's office that an MOU and an MOU on A are the same thing.
Mhm.
So basically, we're tabling this until we get that information back.
I mean, I don't feel comfortable saying something that has the potential to not be legally binding.
It was sent to the prosecutor's office. I got a $16,000 piece of equipment now sitting in a shelf. Because this has been worked on for months.
Well,
It's been through the prosecutor's office. They've agreed to it. They're gonna be the ones defending you. If something was to happen. So we're gonna keep
So
this dog on the shelf until another month.
I'll make a recommendation. We've done this before with other documents, other decisions, is that we can make a motion as submitted. So the submission would be that we change it to a contract from an MOU. And if that's your only holdup, we can make that, we can have a motion on it, we can decide on it. And then all we have to do is print this up on letterhead, right? Make sure the signature page is on its own page. And we could literally approve it, sign it once it's all done, put it in the signature drawer so that the trustees can sign it based on their availability this week. I don't think that would be a problem. And of course, the K-9 would not be on the road until it's signed. That's been acknowledged.
I mean, just receiving this 5 minutes before the meeting.
$16,000. You guys have had this since November, that you guys have known this was going on. So this isn't any surprise,
I'm confused of why you're angry.
because it's incompetence. That's $16,000 of taxpayer money tied up.
That we are responsible for.
And you've had.
That I will not rush. I will not rush this decision by receiving a contract 5 minutes before the meeting starts.
Been up here since November that this has been known about.
This.
That was rewritten.
Today. I'm sorry, Tina, but this is my decision. Okay?
Yeah, well, you got some other ones to make too.
Yes, I do. So right now, with Tina's outburst, I will want to table this until I have a chance to discuss it with the prosecutor's office. And I have no intentions of voting on it tonight.
You can abstain or you can vote no. We have this has been in the works for quite some time. It's been vetted and double vetted with the prosecutor's office. I've talked with them about changes that they wanted to have in this document. I've included those, then they've reviewed it after that fact.
So
hold on.
You have
So-
asked them for changes. We just saw it for the first time tonight.
I sent the draft through.
A draft that's now been changed, so I have to go back and reread it. 5 minutes before a meeting starts is no time to enter into a contract.
Doing now. Can you read it now? We have time.
I have questions and I've already.
Well, then ask your questions. You just said your only issue was calling it a contract or an MOU.
Until I talk to the prosecutor's office, I have no intentions of signing this.
Okay. Then get with them before the end of the week. I think that's your due diligence for the township, because we have used the taxpayers' money to acquire this dog, to get it trained, to get the handler trained, and now it's sitting until you're happy. So if.
So we've had.
No.
Had how many weeks?
If you want to
to contract ready?
You're happy, and then you get off your butt, you talk with the prosecutor's office, and we get back in here and get this signed.
So you.
No.
You waited this long to get us a contract.
I have not waited this long. I've been working this like a dog. Excuse the pun. So you take your time, you talk with the prosecutor's office, but we will get in here and we will get this signed within the next week. So make it a priority on your schedule and get it done. Okay? Done.
We have new business. No other new business?
other new business.
I've got new business.
Okay.
This regards a email that I received this past week from Detective Waymeyer to Trustee Hartshorn. I'd like to read it so that everybody can kind of get an idea of what's going on here, because I think you saw.
Run copies, not run copies of the statements and pass them out to everybody.
It's all public record. So if anybody wants it, all you gotta do is request it.
If you want them, I'll print them out right now.
Another outburst, Tina, and I'm gonna ask you to leave. Okay, thank you. So, trustee Hartshorn, within the last year, trustee Music has gotten progressively worse with asking questions concerning Chief Littleton and the operations of this department. Trustee Music's momentum really picked up in December of 2022 to the point that Chief Littleton sent a directive out to all officers. See attack prior to sending the directive out to all officers, Chief Littleton sent an email to you, trustee Hartshorn, on December 14th regarding trustee Music asking officers questions. No matter how many times he has been asked or told, trustee Music refuses to follow proper protocol. It appears trustee Music feels like he's entitled and can do whatever he wants. So. Pull out our policy. Under our police chief. Page 17 of our policy, it states that major overall policy is discussed with and must be approved by the Perry Township Board of Trustees, who exercise general administrative supervision and direction over the employees. So. Kind of confused there over the employees, who has the authority to tell me that I can't talk to anyone.
What's been brought up repeatedly is the fact you want to ask officers questions that they can't answer based on, no. You open the door, I'm gonna walk right through it. So you want to sit there and ask officers whether they're at home, they're off, they're in the office, whatever. You want to ask them questions instead of coming to the chief and asking him about something in his purview. They are not responsible to give you information. They don't know how the department is run. They don't know what purchases were made. They don't know the stuff you're asking them, but yet you continue to do it just because you can't come and talk to the chief. So I would love to hear.
I'll get to that.
Okay, excellent.
So it also appears trustee Music has a vendetta against Chief Littleton and the police department. What is even more concerning is it appears trustee Mears is following trustee Music's lead. If this is truly the case, it brings to question how the police department could get a fair vote with the trustees. I thought long and hard before writing this letter, talking to officers and making decisions to file an official complaint against trustee Music. Trustee Music's actions and the damage to the police department they're causing cannot be overlooked. Trustee Music has no problem holding officers and department accountable for their actions. Kind of wondering who I've held accountable for what actions. What exactly have I done to an officer to hold them accountable? Okay.
Want me to answer you?
The answer is that, since if you're asking a question,
Go ahead, Jim.
what I see that you're doing is totally insubordination. This man's in charge of this police department. That's why you hire somebody good. Your job as a trustee, and I understand you do a pretty good job. In fact, I was getting ready to compliment all the trustees. But in my opinion, you need to stay the hell out of the police department and let them do his job.
Okay.
Okay. You ask.
Thanks, Jim.
Like Jason, don't open the door, I'll come in it.
Appreciate it.
So if you didn't understand something, if you had a purchase order and you didn't,
He's the man right there to answer any question you want. You don't have to go behind his back and talk to his people. That's insubordination.
no, I'm,
If you're ever in the military, they'll throw your ass out.
So here's the deal. I can't be insubordinate.
Yes, you can.
I'm the authority, the same as he is and same as she is.
He's privileged. He's elected. Yeah.
We all three are the employers of this township.
And
As I
the township.
just read, the Board of Trustees who exercise general administrative supervision and direction over the employees. So
I've read all that. I've read that, and you get a lawyer in here and he'll throw holes in every bit of it. The trustee's job is to run the township, and you guys do a great job. I'm not here to bitch. Most people are. I'm not. I think you're overstepping your boundaries, and everybody else in the room does too. And this dog needs to be in service right now, but you're gonna set her all by yourself and make sure that they have to come to you. Because in my opinion, you have control issues.
okay. So. Trustee Music has no business involving himself in ongoing cases, whether they are criminal or traffic. Trustee Music also cannot continue to be less than truthful when he is confronted with his actions. So as far as OVI, I was contacted by a resident about a complaint on an officer, and I came to chief about it. He showed me the body cam. I asked a lot of questions about policy on OVIs. And Officer Barga did a great job of explaining all of that to me. All my questions were gone. Now, I reached out to Officer Wynn later, who made the OVI arrest, and asked him, had we had any, has it come to conclusion? He called me and told me about it. So I've got 8 months of text messages between me and Officer Wynn that are more than friendly. Never asked anything of any officer other than his chief here.
Isn't that his job though?
What's that?
When somebody calls in.
Mhm.
You know,
For a complaint?
yeah. seems
So,
like
so
it's
residents,
his job.
the residents bring
Please.
complaints to trustees. And then we can take them wherever, to the department
And
heads.
you'll go investigate a DUI.
I didn't investigate a DUI. I investigated
So what did you do?
officer conduct.
The police work.
It didn't work.
Yeah,
So you got footage of an open investigation and have it in your person.
No, I said it didn't work.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
But you took it, right?
It didn't look. Chief
I
sent
think
it.
that's illegal, isn't it?
Chief sent it to me. So. Now,
There has been times where you asked my officer what I had spent on an alien. gear. There was the place over here in West Alex.
yes, I did.
here.
Smart.
So, and so I've talked with
So the sentence
Officer Wynn,
you haven't asked me any
and-
questions is.
Officer Douglas. I've invited them both to my house for a cookout. On the 4th, they both came. They left those out of the reports. I've had multiple conversations with Officer Barga on, just talk about our kids, school. I had a great conversation with Officer Cox Wednesday before OTA, where you were supposed to be teaching or something, and he let me know you weren't here, that you were teaching at St. Clair.
The I got you game and it came back and
He tried to play it, or I tried to play it.
you did.
I asked him, what are you doing here? You usually work nights. Oh, Chief's teaching at St. Clair.
Well,
And I said,
This information.
Green County.
'Cause it wasn't
Yeah.
clear.
And then me and him had a great conversation about his employment, where he works, where he lays cable. So what I've done is tried to build rapport. That's it.
You're trying.
Because back in June, when trustee Mears said she no longer wanted to deal with you. These two asked me to do it. They asked me to come in your office and take away your car and do this and do that. And I didn't feel that was right. I didn't think we had the policies in place to handle those things.
You still don't have policies in place because nobody's ever acknowledged the policy. No one's ever signed for a policy on behalf of this township other than what the police department has provided.
So nowhere in this policy does it say you have to sign it.
You haven't provided me with any policy handbook.
You're well aware of it when you went over your vacation time and all of that. Well
So,
aware of it.
so let's talk for a minute.
I'm not done. So in August, I got a call on 100-mile-an-hour chase you were involved in that went all the way down to Gettysburg. And I came and asked you for our police policy because I wanted to know, did we have a high-speed chase pursuit clause in there where it had to be a felony only or something like that, with the same way every other department around us has?
It would have had to have been November, not August.
That was August. I've got the report here. Sorry, it was into July. July 27th. Where you chased a car for a traffic stop at over 100 miles an hour to Gettysburg and ultimately lost them. And I think that's, you knew I was looking for it. Or looking for something there. Now, if I'm investigating something you're doing, I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell anybody. And then I sent a letter to Charity to send to all three trustees about looking at a pursuit policy. Nothing ever came of it, because at that meeting that night, you made up a story that these two wanted to fire you and that I was the white horse coming in to save you, which was an absolute lie. You claimed you recorded it.
Oh, I have the recordings.
I'd love to
There's no
hear.
claiming.
Love to
I
hear.
have them.
So
And I have
at that point, when you said, I no longer want to work with trustee music,
Mhm.
I was done with you.
Then what did I call you then?
Absolutely done with it. A snake in the grass, and I called you a liar.
No, I called you a liar and a snake in the grass. And I told you I'd never trust you again.
And I never trust you. So
We can agree on something.
the bottom line is, at that point, I was done. When you were involved in your shooting in January, 16 days of being a trustee, I found out about that shooting on the news. On the news. I came here just to ask, because I shouldn't. A trustee should not find out about their chief being involved in a shooting on the news. They shouldn't. I would think that, when the media called me and said, hey, your chief was involved in a shooting, I said, I had the brains to me to say, you should reach out to either trustee Hartshorn or Officer Douglas because he's our media guy. Didn't respond. I come in here just to see what's going on. Had no idea. I called Karen later. I talked to Officer Varga. She didn't know, and she did the right thing. She couldn't talk about the case. And she did just fine. I called Karen later. Tina got on the phone and said, I don't have to tell you anything.
That's not what I said,
That's
Zach,
exactly what she said.
that I reported. I believe it was.
Wait, you said it, Tina. I don't have to tell you anything. I report everything to trustee Mears. And I said, that's fine. That's fine. Then I will talk to trustee Mears.
My responsibility. I don't have to call all three of you.
So
I have.
at any time, anyone on this board wants to look into something that anyone is doing, whether it's Caleb or you or Karen, we have that authority to do that. This board asked you, when we gave you the letter of counseling, to be to work at certain times. You haven't. You miss a lot of work.
No.
You're not here during normal business hours. And so when
You
I
said.
walk in and ask an officer,
Address your. You
is,
told me I had to be here because my guys went from working 11P to 11A and 11A to 11P. They went to 12-hour shifts. I said, what hours would you like for me to work? And you said, as long as you're here to cover both of those shifts, you can see them coming and going. So I chose a 4 a.m. shift So I can come in and get my stuff done, my administrative stuff done, have it done before 8 AM. And then I left sometimes anywhere between noon and 4 o'clock, sometimes later than that.
If you even put in 40 hours. We asked you guys all to clock in. That was for accountability so that this board would know when you're here and when you left. You've refused to clock in. You handwrite all your time cards. Detective Waymeyer handwrites all their time cards. This goes back to November. What I see here is that you just do what you want. You've gone on training after training after training. Our policy states that you're supposed to give us an expense report. I also sent Charity a blanket template of what I'd like to see for training so that we know what it is. Because it's come to light now that you want to go to Texas to teach a class and you want us to pay for it.
No,
You've done drug interdiction trainings before, teachings that I'm sure we paid for, but I don't know because you've never submitted an expense report. None of us know. So if what you guys are upset about is someone holding you accountable for doing your jobs according to what the policy states, that's what you guys are upset about.
no. Jason, Trustee Hartshorn, have I asked the board to pay for my trip to Texas? Okay,
No.
you knew about
We
it.
made it clear that any training that because he has certifications that he has to give so many trainings every 1 to 2 years.
That's to keep his.
That's on that, right, which is a benefit to the township. So he goes and does it on his own.
That training.
So first of all, I want to ask Mr. Marlowe, correct? You had your hand raised. Was there something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, there is. And I won't take but just a minute, so you don't have to start your phone. I have right here. I'll make it short and simple. The best I can figure, there's 227 of these pink sheets. These are tow sheets. These are cars that got towed in Perry Township for various reasons. 12 of these are accidents. Probably 30 some are OBIs. The rest are people out of Indiana and other places that want to drive around over here in this township at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with no driver's license half the time, no license, and going in and out of these farmers' lanes. They're drug addicts trying to steal from Perry Township. Because of Tim and his people, they're not doing it no more. They took every one of their damn cars. If they walk over here, that's the way they're going to have to come. I was getting 2, 3 calls a week and 2 or 3 on the weekends for the longest time, for probably about a year. I'm getting like 2 a month now because they're doing their damn job. I've been in this township. I'll talk. You listen. I've been in this township since 1972. I moved to Perry Township in 1972. I've watched this township grow and fall on its ass and grow. I've watched the police department go from one old Galaxy 500 to 2 or 3, back to 1, a good police chief, a bad police chief. I have never seen this township protected like it is right now. Never, not ever. I put 200 miles a day on my tow truck, most of the time in Perry Township. I see them everywhere I go. I used to never see that.
Yeah.
I've got calls into Perry Township 5 years ago that still haven't been answered. Well, that's not the case anymore. And I think you got control issues and I think you can't control him. But here's what's happening. The township is getting ready to be hurt because of your control issues. I think that everybody else in here seems okay. Everybody seems okay with everything, but no, Zach's got a problem with it. And that you are the problem, not them. We could do without you a hell of a lot better we can him. That's what I got to say, and I'm finished. But there's 227 up here, and I can't show you names because it wouldn't be right for me to do, but by God, I can authenticate every one of them to you. In 2-year period, 227. That's 120, 110 a year. We never had that here, Zach. And you're trying to screw it up. And me personally, by God, you better not. You better not. You were hired, you were elected, all of you were, to run the township. I think you all do a good job. You got this thing where you got to come to me. You got to come to me. You can see it right here. Everybody in this room can see it. You're the control freak. You need to go home and look in the damn mirror. You're hurting the township because of your attitude. And before I came in this door, I'd fight for you. I thought we were good friends.
I did too.
But as far as you on this seat, you're not doing worth a shit. When Dale Sims was in here, a lot of people didn't like Dale. I'm gonna tell you what, he was a good trustee. I didn't like him when he started getting involved in the police department. And that's why he's not here now. You're following suit, pal. When you get elected in here, this place was running great. You didn't need to come in and change everything and put your name on it like you're trying to do. It was running great. But now you remind me of that senator out of West Virginia that wants to wait. He's not a Democrat, he's not a Republican. He just wants to wait. You got to come to me to get some. That's what you're doing. You should put that damn dog in service. You should get off of his ass, let him do his job. Half the reason that he's not in here a lot is because of you. He's having to go to the doctor. Zach, was you ever in the military? Okay, you know, he was honorably discharged, he'd been shot at, he had some anxiety issues because of that. He's 32 years old, he's got 10 kids. He's busting his ass on what we pay him, and you're trying to fuck it up.
Oh, now wait.
Well, I'm just saying, no, he is,
No.
I shouldn't have used that word.
You will not say that. No, I don't.
You don't.
Do not say that word. You will not say that word. You can say anything you want, but you will not say that word.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess so. Sit down. That's fine, but you will not cuss like that.
Hey.
No,
You gotta
you
do that. Put your hand on me.
down,
Said,
Gentlemen, come on, guys.
down. I'm telling you, one more time and you will be removed. Do you understand?
I'll tell you, I'm done.
I'm telling you when I'm done. Are you listening to me? If I tell you, you remove him. He will not talk like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
I'd like to.
Go right ahead.
Okay, this has got to be by far the most interesting trustee meeting I think I've been to. And I haven't been in a long time, but I will tell you something. I've probably served this township more years than any of them in this room, I think. I don't know, a couple of you. But I've been on the board of the BZA for over 20 years. I've lived in this township all of my life. And I'm ashamed.
Yeah, I am too.
I am ashamed of how this has gone down. And I told Jim, I said, "Hey, let's go to the trustee meeting and a little bit about zoning," and had no idea it was going to get into this at all. Ashamed, actually ashamed. I know a lot of you. I know you. I know Missy, school with Missy. But what I sit here and just witnessed, I think is very disrespectful of our police department. I do think in the years that I've worked out, and I don't work now, but there is a chain of command, okay? Not unlike the police department. You have a step that you have to take, okay? I don't see where trustees should be, Mr. Littleton should be reporting to you and you. I think, again, there's a chain. If you want something from her, she gives it to him, and then he talks to you, and then there's a report. I thought the way this was going down, I was like, hey, this is pretty easy. This is easy. But my God, this is crazy. This is just crazy. And, I think you should get answers to what your concerns are. I think there should be accountability. I was a banker for, over 25 years. So you're not going to talk to me about accountability or auditing or any of that kind of stuff. Banking was my profession. And in that business, there is a chain of command. You don't just walk in the bank and say, I want some money. Give me some money because I want it. So that's where I don't think as a trustee, I don't care what your power is that you think you have, you don't disrespect her or him or her or him or her. You ask for things and, you go through that chain of command. And I think I'm assuming you might be Jim Marlowe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You've worked on my daughter's car. Have no idea who you were. Wouldn't know your face.
My name is Jim Marlowe and I let my.
You live on-
Something I do.
I know. And I agree that that word's probably not.
Yeah.
Not proper for this setting,
It isn't.
but
No, I know.
it's usually a word that comes out in a heat. And I think that's where this place was going. I mean, and.
I just see things going so good here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a problem.
And I think with you, I'm not unlike me. Like I said, I've lived in this township all my life in a couple different places, but all my life. And I was at this meeting the other week because I am concerned about this township. I plan to live here the rest of my life. There isn't anything that I dislike about it. I do feel protected by our police department. I do think there's been issues over the years, as you have with changes of the police and stuff. But I do think you have to not get into this kind of heat because it's not going to serve anybody right. It's not going to serve us as residents of the township. It's certainly not going to build camaraderie here. I mean, we used to have meetings in here where we would come together as the trustees, as the zoning, as the police department. Hell, we got together and had a Christmas thing in here and everybody got along. And like Mr. Marlowe was saying, I was on this board when Dale Sim was on here and he was a hothead. Believe me, I've sat through many of his, you know, hothead things, but he's, you know, you still have the respect for him. He's a farmer. And that's a part of what this township is too. I mean, we have to be respectful of everybody's thoughts. And I think that's when you go to the BZA, that's sometimes you get into some heated debates there because it's like, it's my property. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do on it. But no, you live in this township where we have rules. And I agree, Zach, with you that there is some accountability that if you're asking for and you don't get it, I'm just not quite sure if that's really been the case because of, again, that stuff of, you know, if you've asked for it, reports for, like you said, I mean, it's easy enough for time clocks to be put in and these expense reports to be, you know, reimbursed and things like that. But I'm really, like I said, I'm just a little blown away with this whole meeting because I was thinking, man, we're in a little bit more peaceful township than what this has come up to be. But hopefully going forward, you know, some things can happen and maybe, you know, change of hats up there as to who is communicating with the chief of police. But
So here's the one thing I'm gonna say. And I wasn't gonna say any of this until I got the letter from Tina. And I think what made me the most irritated is that Wednesday morning before OTA, I come in here to sign Karen's check because we had an issue with it. So I came in before I left, signed her check, had a really, really nice conversation with Officer Cox. And I wasn't out to get you. And see, and that's been what you guys don't understand is what I've been fighting is the constant accusations because I made the mistake at when I got elected, I don't think I took off. I know I had took office yet. And I stepped outside and introduced myself to Dale Sim. Never met the man before in my life, never talked to him before. But I thought, he's running, I'm running, I'll say hi. And I was witnessed talking to him. And from that point forward, I was labeled on the Dale Sim team. And so I never got a fair shake from this police department from day one. From day one. These guys have anything I've done.
Dale, the one that brought him in.
He did. And you know, and Dale made the comment about the worst mistake he ever made. I think that's just Dale being Dale, making that statement. There's no secret that Dale and Tina don't get along. But that's
No,
not true.
nobody.
That's probably true.
All right.
When
To your point there, though, it's real interesting to say this, what you just said. When you was running, you asked him what I said. I said, you're gonna like Zach. Zach's smart, he's energetic. I said, you guys work well together. I thought you would. I really do believe you have these control things going on. And here's why I say that. Here's why I say that.
That's not it, Jim, and I'm gonna tell you
You
why.
came to me last summer,
Mhm.
down at my place, and here's what you said. I'm gonna quote you. You said, Jason won't be here long. He said, I've been on him hard, man. He won't. I said,
Jason or Tim?
you said that to me,
Jason or Tim?
Jason.
Jason.
He
Okay,
said, he's gonna resign. He won't last week. I've been on him real hard.
that was
He's one of
after,
the best trustees you ever had. He's smart. He's got, I'm thinking to myself right then, what the hell's wrong with you, Zach?
that was after me and Jason got into it, I believe.
Even when you couldn't control him, you started on him. That's what I think.
Well, and you did stop reading in that packet. How many people have you told that work for chief that your goal is to get him fired?
It's never been to get him fired, and that's what was taken, and that's my point. And so I want to go back to Officer Cox. I had a great conversation with him, and I thought, man, this is a nice kid. I've never talked to him before. I'd nenever met him. He usually works nights.
Good guy.
And so I felt really good when I left here, drove to Columbus. I sat down in a class, and Charity says, it's got a text that you're at the township starting stuff. I'm like, what do you mean I'm starting stuff? I had a great conversation with the kid about his employment. I asked what he was doing here. He said, well, chief's training today, so I got called off because of the weather. I'm gonna come in and work. Cool. Clark County had a snow day. Was chief coming in today? I don't know. That was it. There was nothing nefarious about that conversation, but yet I got demonized for talking with an employee. And it was a genuine conversation. Genuine conversation.
Does it time?
So he will not work with me. Period. She hates my guts.
I only hate one person.
I've let it.
All I can do is try to build rapport with these guys to let them know I'm not a bad guy, Jim.
You're not trying to work with
See what it is that I-
You're sitting over stopping everything they want to do.
Tonight.
They're not your friend.
Tonight, I'm a little irritated.
No,
I haven't.
I see what's going on. I think, like I said, 1972.
Yeah.
I watched this place go up and you guys, and this, I know you probably hate me now, but you guys do a great job. You run the township great. I'm really upset about what's going on with the police department right now because I've never seen it this good. And then it doesn't satisfy you, satisfy everybody else in the room, but not Zach. You're not a cop. You're not a chief of police.
I'm not asking-
You have his business.
I would never ask a cop.
Get him to account to you and that's it.
He won't talk to me.
That's because of you.
It could be.
You guys can
Because of
start
him.
right now.
When was the last time you went into his office to talk with him?
The last time I talked to him was on a phone call when I left the emergency management meeting, and I called him and asked him to give me a list of stuff to put in a grant to propose. Never got that. When I remember I called you about the maintenance records. Brookville had just lost a transmission in one of their cruisers. And I asked, you keep records? I always give a copy to Officer Wynn. Great. So I got here, Officer Bargo walked by, hey, is Wynn working? Nope. Hey, since he's the one taking the copies, when you talk to him, because I thought me and Officer Wynn had a pretty good relationship. I mean, we get along pretty well. That it wouldn't be an issue for him if he's the one in control of it to send him to me. Now, Chief told me that he's not. Right?
It wasn't at that time. It was.
At that time. So when Officer Wynn, if he had called, had we not had this divide where I'm being shut out of everything, I'm not asking them, I would never give a directive to the officers to how to do their job. That's not my job. I don't know anything about being a cop. That's not the case here, Jim.
If anything comes out of this meeting, other than we all think each other's a jerk, and I really hope not. If anything comes out of this meeting, I'd like you to do a little soul searching. Here's why. I'm 72 years old. I've been working on cars since I was 16. I was a master mechanic at 19. I've got every certification Ohio has. I have a journeyman's card, which means that there's only probably half a dozen people in Ohio that's got one of them. You have to be 100% proficient in electrical, mechanical, and hydraulic.
We've had this conversation.
I've got one of those. So here I am working on the cruisers at almost cost. $75 to change oil, full synthetic oil, and I'll spend an hour doing the fluids and the tires. I'm doing it because I live in a township. I don't need money. I've got a little bit of money. I feel like I'm helping the township. So I'm doing this. So you call me when what I'm doing the cruises. So I said, okay, I'll tell you. And you said, well, I want to get involved because that's my expertise. I'm like, it was my expertise when you had diapers on.
That's true. Very true.
And it rubbed me wrong.
I apologize for that. That was not my intention. I
I
promise you.
understand that, and I don't think your intention here is to cause trouble,
It
but you
wasn't.
rub people wrong with your control issues.
Okay,
And I hope that you can do some soul searching on that.
okay.
I'm gonna do.
Well,
Okay, so at this time, I'm gonna move forward, if that's okay with you. Any other new business?
nope, nope, it's fine.
Okay, so visitors, I have Mr. Marlowe. Do you want to speak or did you already?
And I am sorry.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry.
I have the temper.
But I do not appreciate that. Mr. Lunsford.
Yes, ma'am. Happy Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, and it's my daughter's birthday, so hurry up, I got birthday cake to do.
I'm Gary Lunsford. I live on Clayton Road, and I was just gonna thank all you guys tonight.
Did you come up to the podium? The microphone can't pick you up too well.
I was gonna thank everybody here because a couple years ago, Perry Township didn't feel so safe. And since this man's came in, I'm really happy with the police department. And I feel like our community's a lot safer since he's been here. And he kind of got shoved in on us, and a lot of people in this township was like, hey, wait, who's this guy? Kind of against him at first, but we all see now he does a good job. And I was just going to thank you and the police department for making Perry safe. And I hope you get your dog going.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Okay, I think that was the only two. Anybody else want to speak? Oh,
Actually, I do this, but this is a totally different topic. This is about my dad's homestead on Boyd Warner. I live on Providence Road, right across from the maintenance building. So thanks for plowing my road first. So, but anyhow, so just as a suggestion, because I know we're dealing with some nuisance properties, and the one on Brookville Piermont that all the windows are out and the garbage is out and the grass is grown. And I know that that's in a trust. I'm a real estate agent. I've done my due diligence. I know who's got back taxes and who's don't. So I just to make that clear. The thing I have a suggestion for is why don't the township mow the grass, clean up the trash, board up the windows, bill the trust. You can bill, assess it to the tax.
Assess it to the taxes that I build.
Assess it to the taxes.
Yeah.
It's going to get paid.
It doesn't, Dayton does that.
no, it
The
isn't.
Taxes are getting paid.
It's not going,
The taxes are getting paid.
that one.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what I'm talking about. The taxes, as long as the trust has money, the taxes are going to get paid.
And we have mowed it. We have mowed that one. But
Our zoning, it's our policy.
yeah, we have mowed that.
You gotta wait so long.
Right. But my point is the trust, as long as the trust has
Yeah.
money, the bank doesn't care. The mortgage is getting paid.
Right.
The bank's getting their mortgage payment. They could care less if the house falls down.
Exactly, because I have
Because they're
talked to
getting their payment. The real estate taxes are getting paid.
Yes, everything is.
Everything's getting paid. So my point is, on a property like that, I know we can't do anything about the ones in Piermont more than we're doing now, but I'm just saying for a property like that, where the taxes are getting paid, have the township get on there, clean it up,
Yeah, and that is,
trash up, board the windows up,
and that is something that.
and assess and send the bill to Montgomery County.
Yeah, we'll just,
I mean, it might take a year to get the taxes to get paid, but you're gonna,
no, they're getting paid.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the tax.
Yeah, anyway.
Because it's in the trust, but thank you. Okay, yes, sir.
Family.
Yeah.
I'm Cherry Simon's husband.
Yeah.
We know who you are, Jim.
Township in Breville County, I'm from.
So Sherry's right about this. I haven't been one of these in a long time. And there's just a few people in here I know. I've known Sherry for a long time. First thing, and Zach, I don't know you. So I apologize for what I'm about to say. But this does seem like you against everybody else.
It does.
So
It does.
that's my observation. The next thing I want to say is, police department does do a great job. Every interaction I've ever had with them over the years has always been good. I mean, it's just, so thank you and hope you stick with it.
Thank you.
But this was kind of wild. I would just say that. So, I mean, from a perspective of a resident, seeing this unfold is a little troubling. So that's, I offer that up just as my observation. So thank you for
We
listening.
appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, if anybody would like to leave, you can. We are going to go into executive session. I make a motion that we go into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee, 121.22 G1.
Seconded.
Trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Music.
Yes.
At this time, I'm gonna pause the recording and mute the microphone. We'll bring everything back up when we resume.
And
Hold on. Right now.
ready?
Yes.
I make a motion that we go back into regular session.
Seconded.
Trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Music.
Yep.
Pass it to her.
Well, I can do it.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so I forwarded to the trustees earlier in the week where I received notification from Montgomery County Engineers Office. And it appears that we are moving forward with the Providence Pike project. And so they require a resolution. So it'll be resolution 2319. A resolution authorizing the county engineer to select a consultant for engineering on the OPWC project, Providence Pike improvements, widening and resurfacing. Whereas the Township of Perry has desires to proceed with engineering on the proposed OPWC Providence Pike project, and whereas Perry Township requests the county engineer to select a consultant for engineering on this project. And whereas the township agrees to reimburse the county engineer for the engineering fees not to exceed $47,810. Now therefore be it resolved by the trustees of Perry Township to request the county engineer to select a consultant for engineering services for the OPWC Providence Pike project, with the township reimbursing the engineering fees not to exceed $47,810 to the county engineer. I need a motion for the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Mears.
Yes. Okay, and I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Oh, sorry, chief.
I just had a quick question. I know there's discussion about some of the,
We already adjourned.
We didn't vote.
Did you? No, we haven't called roll.
We
We
haven't
called
called
roll for adjourning.
Go ahead, sorry.
so we haven't heard back. And I know there's been a lot of discussion back and forth about some of the changes that we've been emailing back and forth regarding the front office and Karen's office and my office. Is that a topic of conversation we can have at some point in time? Or I responded to all the questions. I haven't heard anything back, and I don't think Karen has either.
I think I would put that on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So we're proceeding with adjourning.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Mears,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes.